Have you ever stopped to think about what we're really trying to do when we punish someone for a crime? It seems like a simple question, but it gets right to the heart of what justice even means. And, well, the answer is way more complicated than you might think.
I mean, really think about it. When a person is found guilty and gets a sentence, what's the actual goal? Are we trying to teach them a lesson, protect the rest of us, get some kind of payback? Or is it something else? As it turns out, there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
You see, the thing is, there's no single easy answer. Our entire justice system is actually shaped by four major ideas, four dominant theories, that all try to justify what happens after that guilty verdict. And each one gives us a completely different reason for why we punish.
So what are they? They are deterrence, rehabilitation, retribution, and incapacitation. Think of each one as a different lens for looking at the very same problem. So let's dive in and start with the first one, deterrence. All right, first up, deterrence. And a really good way to think about this one is as a giant societal warning sign. At its core, deterrence is all about sending a message, a really loud one. The idea is that when one person gets punished, everybody else sees the consequences and thinks, whoa, nope, I definitely don't want that to happen to me. It's all about making an example of one person to influence the choices of everyone else. The logic here is pretty straightforward, right? Especially for crimes where someone stands to gain something, like theft or fraud. The goal is simply to make the punishment so severe, so risky, that any potential reward just isn't worth it. And this is the kind of thinking that can justify some really harsh penalties, because the theory is the bigger the risk, the stronger the deterrent. Okay, so that's deterrence. But our next theory, well, it completely flips the script. Instead of trying to scare the public, this one is all about giving an offender a second chance. This is rehabilitation.
So, while deterrence is looking at the big picture of society, rehabilitation zooms way in, right on the individual. The goal here isn't to send a message to others. It's to figure out why this person committed a crime in the first place, and then to try and fix that underlying issue. It's all about reform. So how do you know if it's working? Well, the key word here is recidivism, which is just the technical term for when someone reoffends. With rehabilitation, success isn't measured by how tough the punishment is. Success is measured by whether that person stays out of the system for good. Punishment becomes a tool for reform, not just a way to make someone suffer. So let's just put these two side by side for a sec. Deterrence, all about society. The goal is to scare people straight, and severity is the name of the game. Rehabilitation, totally focused on the individual. The goal is to reform them, and effectiveness is what matters. You can see they're coming from completely different philosophical places. All right, on to our third theory. Now, this one is probably the one you hear about most often, even if you don't realize it. It's called retribution. And yeah, that classic image of the scales of justice, it's the perfect symbol. Now, what's interesting here is that retribution isn't forward-looking like the other two. It's not trying to prevent future crime or fix anybody. It is completely backward-looking. It's about delivering what are called just desserts for a crime that has already happened. The logic is simple. They did something wrong, and now they have to pay for it. You've definitely heard the phrase, an eye for an eye, right? Well, that is retribution in a nutshell. It's this really ancient, really intuitive idea that a wrong has to be balanced out by a punishment. But, and this is super important, this isn't just about simple revenge. The key idea that keeps it from becoming blind vengeance is something called proportionality. The punishment has to fit the crime. A minor offense gets a minor punishment. A major crime gets a major punishment. It's all about balancing the scales, not tipping them unfairly. Okay, that brings us to our fourth and final theory, and this one might be the most practical of them all, incapacitation. At its heart, this is simply about protecting society. The logic here is, well, it's very direct. If a person is a danger to the community, what's the most effective way to stop them from causing more harm? You physically remove them from that community. It's not about reform, it's not about revenge, it's about prevention through containment. And this theory is really the main justification for punishments like long-term prison sentences. I mean, a fine or community service doesn't physically stop someone from reoffending, right? But a prison sentence directly incapacitates them with the #1 goal of keeping society safe from someone deemed too dangerous to be free. So there you have it. 4 totally different ways of thinking about punishment. What does this all mean when we put them together? How does this complicated mix actually shape our ideas about justice? Looking at this summary, you can really see how each theory pulls our justice system in a different direction. And what's fascinating is that a single sentence, say 5 years in prison, could be justified by all four theories at once, but for completely different reasons. For deterrence, it's a warning. For rehabilitation, it's time for reform. For retribution, it's a deserved payment. And for incapacitation, it's 5 years of public safety.
And this leaves us with the central dilemma of our entire justice system. These four theories are constantly in conflict, pulling our laws and sentences in different directions. So, should we prioritize one over the others? Or is the truest form of justice found in that difficult, constant act of trying to balance them all? There's no easy answer, but it's a question that's absolutely crucial to consider.